Welcome back to Ordinary Roman, where the last month and a half has been focused primarily on art, whether it be adding more content to the game for art assets like buildings, developing the main character, or redoing old assets that could be refurbished. Looking back, the original buildings that I have had, I made back in winter of 25, and so we have our original building with the main character at the time, our first vendor, for instance, and then the structure having arches and all that. Then you had the second storefront as well, with a little red at the bottom, a little area at the top for walking out, and then the three different apartments at the very top, as well as a shop at the bottom, and then there was going to be a little roof overhang so that everyone waiting at the store doesn't get rained on. And so these were the assets originally made that looked decent for the time, but upgrading them to what we have now. So the first store, now it has some open windows, a closed one, and a default shop area so that whenever a vendor's put in, now you'll be able to see that this is the area we'll be in. The second place has their own balcony as well as before, updating it so it looks a little better, as well as differentiating between the door frames as well as the actual balcony part so you can see the differences. Again, with the shop at the bottom so that you can see they have shelves, they have a table, and then they have their door going back into their inventory, I guess. And then over here, again, three upstairs areas with the shop below. So I think it's a pretty good update, but there's still more work to be done, as well as there's no roof, if you notice, between them. So I did that so that it could be a taller building, and so you don't just see the roof at the moment. Next on the list was residential, and so I wanted to give the players options on where to live, so this would be a typically more upper middle class, if not aristocratic living area, considering you walk in, you have these nice marble pillars, then you go upstairs and you have a balcony looking down on people. So this would typically be a more upper class area that you would have to pay a lot more to live in, especially since there is no floor above it, so this is just a two-floor place, so that's going to be extremely expensive. Next is more affordable, I guess, for the middle class. So typically wouldn't be living on these first two floors because that's where the ultra rich would live. However, you can go up and there's no roof here, so you can see there's would be space for the player to go all the way up to the top to the fourth or fifth or sixth floor to live a somewhat comfortable and safe life. And then next would be this one where I guess it could be an in-between residential 1 and residential 2, where you might be able to get one side of the balcony open for your own leisure and etc. Updating assets and adding more, so we have food. And I updated the only asset on this page, the cheese, so that it looked a little better, has a little more character, and so people can look at it and think, oh, that's actually cheese compared to whatever that was prior. And then I added a whole nother asset. So now we have some type of cleansing. So this would be some type of oil or something that people would put on their skin and scrape away with the scraper to get any dead skin, etc. off. We have chicken, we have pork balls that are fried or seared or something. We have grapes, blueberries, chicken stew, pork and apples, which apparently Romans ate, pork stew. Then they had some type of proto bagel, but not a bagel. It would be a cylindrical pastry that they would fry and then it would be a quick grab and go. So they had a form of bagel, a proto pizza, which they called a pinza or something of the sort, where it would just be fried dough or baked dough and then they put olive oil or other toppings on top. Next would be crustulum, or like little cookies or little pastries that they would bake real quick and then give off to children. Then they had cheese balls, or globi, I believe it's pronounced, where it would just be little fried pastry balls with cheese inside. We have dates, dates, and then loaded dates, which would be honey or some type of nut like pistachio or something like that, that they'd put in, bake, and then give off at a store. And then we have beef stew. A big update, in my personal opinion, for the game would be the finishing of the main character. And so in this time, I've looked around for different references and tried to do a little research on what might a young man in ancient antiquity look like. And so for the Mediterranean, I could have done a little darker, but I think this is a good representation of what a young man might look like in the Mediterranean. So you have a little brunette hair, maybe a little lighter eyes, and then a little skinnier on the skinnier side, because a lot of young people and people in general weren't very bulky unless their job required it. I also added sandals, and so I think this is a good showing of what the main character will look like. Obviously, there needs to be animations for how they'll be able to walk and do things, but I think this is a good starting point for what the character will develop into. I also showed off the main character on social media, and so if you've seen on my story for Plebeian Interactive or on any of the posts for when I upload, I usually put it there. So if you're not following that, please, drop a follow and also subscribe to the channel if you are liking the content. The next big update after the main character would be the vendors themselves, or the NPCs that you'll be trading with. I added 6 of them, and they're not fully done, but I think this is a good point to show them off. So we'll start off with the top left with Maria. She's the fresh produce vendor, and she'll be selling fruits or vegetables, etc. And she'll be the first primary contact to buy grapes or beets or lettuce, cabbage, or dates. Next on the list would be Octavia, and she'll be able to sell finished meals. Typically stews will be the primary focus, so you'll have pork stew, chicken stew, beef stew, etc., and she'll be the primary focus. And she's a little different from the others, in which she has lighter green eyes, and she has a gold earring with a hair tie that is a little different. Next on the list would be Marcus, our baker. He will be just selling any type of pastry or bread related item, so anything like that, Marcus will be your man for that primary focus. Next on the list will be Lulius, or Julius. He will be selling any meat product, primarily on pork, chicken, or beef, but he will be our butcher. Next on the list is Cassius, or Caesius. He will be our drink vendor, whether it be milk or beer or wine or water. Last but not least, the oldest vendor amongst them all, and the fisherman himself, we have Lucius Litorius Senex. And so his name, Litorius and Senex. Senex is apparently old man, and Litorius is just seaborn. So he's a seaborn old man, and I assume he got the Senex during his time, considering he's old even by Roman standards. So yep, he'll be your fisherman. He'll be selling any type of fish or sea related food to you in the future. And so yeah, these are the main vendors going forward. There's a lot to add, but I think this is a good point to show off who you will be interacting with between these 6 for different items. If you like what you saw, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or even follow me on social medias. If you didn't, leave a comment and tell me what I can do better, where it went wrong. Volete.